screen wipers are a beating in time. The song they sing is a part of my mind, and I can't believe it's a really happening to me. Oh, bottom over the edge and down the mountainside, I know they'll tell about the night I died in the rain when the lights on the hill were blinded me. In the rain when the lights on the hill were blinded me.
You mean your Steve?
It was answered 603. He sits down next to me. We were flying out across the Great Divide, bound for WA. He shook my hand and said, "G'day." There I was, Slim Dusty by my side. I was flying with the king, riding on the wind. A small town boy from nowhere, head up in the clouds. All the times I heard him play, and here I was today. I was flying with the king. Was Trumby riding slow, 30,000 feet below. Way down there around a fire would get you cold. The desert stretching on, home to countless dusty songs. He was a man who walked a country mile. I was flying with the king, riding on the wind. A small town boy from nowhere, head up in the clouds. All the times I heard him play, and here I was today. I was flying with the king. And before I knew the wheels touched down, he smiled and said, "I'll see you around." There was so much more to say, but he was gone. And now he's gone. I was flying with the king, riding on the wind. A small town boy from nowhere, head up in the clouds. And all the times I heard him play, and here I was today. I was flying with the king.
Yes, he's looking kind of jaded, and his sight is not the best, and the hair around his muzzle's turning grey. He has seen 100 musters, and I think it's only fair that we leave him in the long yard here today. He was broken in the 60s, maybe 63 or 4, but never faltered, always seemed to be on hand. Never have I seen him beaten by a bullock in the bush, and at night watch he was picked. Looking forward, looking back, I've come a long way down the track, got a long way left to go, making songs from what I know, making sense of what I've seen, all the love we've had between you and I along the track, looking forward, looking back. There are strange days full of change on the way, but we'll be fine. Unlike some, I'll be leaning forward to see what's coming, looking forward, looking back. I've come a long way down the track, got a long way left to go, making songs from what I know. If I'm alone at night, I can see through all triviality of the day, and I'm okay. I just think of those who are dear to me, looking forward, looking back. I've come a long way down the track, got a long way left to go, making songs from what I know, making songs from what I know, looking forward, looking back.
If everyone could just gather around, that would be great. Thanks. A life well lived is a precious gift of hope and strength and grace from someone who has made our world a brighter, better place. It's filled with moments, sweet and sad, with smiles and sometimes tears, with friendships formed and good times shared, and laughter through the years. A life well lived is a legacy of joy and pride and pleasure, a living, lasting memory our grateful hearts will treasure. Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Ali Dennison, and along with Simon and the team at Parkside Funerals, it is both an honour and a privilege to be here with you today as we gather to celebrate the life of Robert Lindsay Innes. To some he was Robert, to most he was Robbie, and to many he was Nugget. And I can see him now sitting in his terry toweling hat with a half Bundy and Coke, grinning and saying, "You buggers are all mad to be standing out in this weather." Robbie isn't just someone I'm privileged to help farewell, he was someone that I knew. Someone I watched around our community for many years. Someone my family shared plenty of conversations with around the bowls club. My brother Jean spent many years working alongside Robbie in the forestry. And as many others, our family are very fortunate to call the Innes family our friends. So today, like many of you, I stand here not only as a celebrant, but as someone who feels the loss of a genuinely good man. Before we begin, I ask that you please ensure your mobile phones are switched to silent as a sign of respect. I would also love to welcome those watching via the live stream who couldn't be here today. I know there are some special friends and family watching on, so welcome to you all. Following this service, Robbie's family invites you to join them at the Recreation Centre for refreshments and sharing of stories. And I suspect there'll be plenty of stories. As Robbie arrived here today, he was welcomed by a Guard of Honour formed by members of the Scotchtown Football Club and the Smithton Bowls Club. And not many people can be welcomed with 2 Guards of Honours. I can't think of a more fitting way for Robbie to make his final journey. He would be grinning from ear to ear. Both clubs were a huge part of his life, and he, in turn, became a huge part of theirs. Standing together in his honour speaks volumes about the impact that he had on our community. Recognition that was thoroughly deserved. Robert Lindsay Innes passed away peacefully on the 28th of May 2026, surrounded by the love of his family. He was 82 years old. He was the son of the late Willie, known as Max, and Nellie. He was the loved and devoted husband of the late Diane. The extremely proud dad of Jason and Leanne, Kelly and Julia, Teresa, Melinda and Stephen, and the best mate to his little dog Millie. Now technically, Millie belonged to Melinda. She brought her, fed her, and paid the vet bills, but those facts meant very little to Robbie. As far as he was concerned, Millie was his dog without a doubt. Today, we gather with sadness because Robbie has left us, but we also gather with enormous gratitude for the amazing life that Robbie has lived. He never looked for recognition, he never tried to be important, and he simply lived a good life. A life that was built around family, hard work, friendships, football, bowls, community, and helping anyone who needed a hand. And judging by those gathered here today, Robbie has left this community a better place for having been a part of it. One of the real gifts that Robbie has left his family is that in January he featured sharing part of his life story with the Western Echo as part of their Tales from Emmerton Park series. In his own words, Robbie reflected on his childhood, his family, his working life, and some of the memories that meant the most to him. Today, I'll draw on some of those memories throughout the service because who better to help tell Robbie's story than Robbie himself? Robbie's early years in his very own words. I was born in Smithton in 1943, the fifth of 9 children. We had 5 boys and 3 girls. Dad worked in the bush wherever he could find work, mostly around the Salmon River area. Mum did a remarkable job raising all of us. We were a close-knit family, and looking back, I realised just how lucky we were. We grew up on a 50-acre farmlet at Christmas Hills. We grew all our own vegetables, and milked 12 cows by hand. Every morning and night, before and after school, I milked 3 cows. One cow, called Brindle, never wanted to come into the dairy, and more than once she and I had a proper tussle. We separated the cream from the milk, fed the milk to our pigs, usually about a dozen pigs, and sent the cream off to the Duck River Butter Factory in Smithton. Their truck would come and collect it. All of us kids went to school by bus, first to Smithton Primary and then to Smithton High School. We always behaved ourselves because Mr. Bert Jackson was around, and you never wanted to be on the wrong side of him. I only crossed that line once, and that was enough. There were no mobile phones or modern conveniences back then, and we didn't even have a car until I was 16. Sport filled most of our spare time, mainly football and cricket. I was never a star player, but I loved every minute of it. One of my fondest memories is New Year's Day. All the local kids, along with my brothers and sisters, would pile onto the back of an old Commer truck and head to the beach with a picnic. We'd run around all day without a care in the world. It always seemed like the weather was perfect back then. When I was about 13, Dad was pulling logs in the bush with a horse when one swung around and hit him in the leg. He ended up with gangrene and lost the leg. Even so, he didn't sit still for long. Before we knew it, he had a wooden leg and was back working in the bush on the dozer. All us boys had to pitch in around the farm to help out. Robbie often spoke fondly of his mum's current rollies. With a family as large as theirs, one batch was never enough to feed them. Robbie remembered Nellie making 2 lots just to make sure everyone got some. Robbie went on to say, I left school at 16 and went working at Tagari and Montague Swamp, picking up roots after Dad's dozer went through. At 17, I started working for Britton Brothers at Britton Swamp. That's where I tried my hand at most of the jobs going, and after a couple of years, I returned to bush contracting with Dad, pulling the logs. At 21, I got itchy feet and moved to the mainland with my brother Kevin. We worked at Cowrie Timber and spent weekends going to AFL matches. We came home whenever we could, and it was hard being away from family and the place that we loved. Flying from Essendon Airport into Smithton Aerodrome, I loved looking down over the green paddocks and seeing the Duck River winding its way to the sea. We would always look towards our farm at Christmas Hills just in case we could see it. After a few years in Melbourne, we moved back to Circular Head. Not long after, I met my future wife, Diane. We met at the dance at the Mellor Hall, and we were married 12 months later. We had 4 wonderful children, Jason, Kelly, Teresa, and Melinda, and we continued living and working on the family farm. Robbie told the story of buying the Britton Swamp property from his parents. He headed out one night and enjoyed a few drinks. The next morning, he woke up to discover there was almost nothing left in the house. While he was sleeping, his parents had packed up and moved out around him. It was a fairly direct approach to succession planning, but it certainly got the message across. The family farm at Britton Swamp, fondly known as Mossy Banks, became home and remained so until Robbie and Diane moved into Smithton following Robbie's retirement in 2006. It was at Mossy Banks that they raised their family and built a lifetime of memories. The girls would help Diane around the house, while Jason was Robbie's right-hand man for many of the farm duties. The girls were also very keen to point out that Jason was spoilt by Robbie. Whether that's entirely true or not, we'll leave that for family debate this afternoon. Everyone had a role to play, everyone pitched in, and there was always plenty of firewood stacked and ready for winter. A big part of Robbie's life began in the mid-70s when he went to work on the forestry. Robbie and Johnny Streets started their forestry careers together, and over the years, they, along with many others, shared plenty of hard work, plenty of laughs, and more than a few adventures. Robbie became known as an extremely competent bushman. He knew how to fall trees, how to fight fires, how to build roads and blow stumps. He was one of those people who could read the bush instinctively. As Camel Hall recalls, Robbie taught both he and Fats Jenkins how to fall timber. Like many experienced bushmen, Robbie was always happy to pass on his knowledge to younger workers. The funny thing was they didn't always listen. Robbie would explain exactly how something should be done, only to watch them do it their own way. More often than not, Robbie got the last laugh when they eventually realised they should have listened in the first place. Camel also shared one of Robbie's more memorable days in the bush. Robbie had been doing renovations at home the night before and managed to tread on a nail arriving at work with a sore foot. Unfortunately, while working with a chainsaw, he stepped into a hole with that sore foot, and the saw ran down the front of his chest. Thankfully, Robbie escaped what could have been a far more serious injury. Camel described the cut as running straight down what he called Robbie's hairy singlet. The chainsaw even sliced Robbie's cigarette packet in half. But Robbie wasn't about to waste perfectly good cigarettes and reportedly smoked the remaining half cigarettes for some time afterwards. As if that wasn't enough excitement for one day, while waiting in the ambulance after the accident, a wasp flew inside. The ambulance officer tried to swat it away, but unfortunately, the wasp stung Robbie square on the forehead. Camel also recalled the only time he ever saw Robbie genuinely angry. The boys were planting trees, and like many forestry crews, had a habit of throwing dirt at one another. On this occasion, Robbie was minding his own business, having a pee, when Fats Jenkins launched a handful of dirt and struck him in the side of the head. According to Camel, that did not go down particularly well. It may well have been one of the few occasions that anyone witnessed Robbie lose his patience. Then there was one day at the sumac. One of the gang had brought along some particularly rough tobacco. Robbie was happily smoking away on it when Hoss K finally said, "You dirty bastard, Robbie, that stuff stinks. You're making me feel sick." And without missing a beat, Robbie replied, "Yes, Hoss, you look sick." That was the quick-witted response everyone expected from Robbie. I'd love to share a memory from Brian Nibbs, who also worked alongside Robbie on the forestry, and I can see Robbie's grin as I tell this one. Brian recalls, while replacing a bridge at Dodds Creek, which is around 61 kilometres south of Smithton, I left Robbie in charge of freshly poured concrete while I drove back to Smithton for some bolts. Robbie was left with instructions to trowel the concrete off before it dried too much. When I returned, expecting a productive afternoon, I found Robbie laying back in the scrub sound asleep, and no work had been done to the concrete. That afternoon, panic and mayhem followed, as you could imagine. Thanks, Brian and Camel, for your memories. This is fitting. If it rained on the forestry, there was no work to be done. If it was raining steadily, the men would pack up and head home. But if it was only a passing shower, they would often retreat to the forestry buses and wait for the weather to clear. The cards would come out, and many a game of crib, 500, and other card games would soon be underway. It was there that Robbie developed his love of cards, a pastime that remained with him throughout his life. As a result, the weather forecast became very important reading. In fact, there were times when Robbie paid far more attention to the forecast than he did the news. Robbie spent years in the bush fighting fires, operating machinery and building roads, and becoming one of those people who could navigate the forest better than most people can navigate town. Even after retirement, he'd jump in the car and disappear into the bush for the day, not necessarily telling anyone where he was going, which occasionally caused some concern, but not for Robbie, as he always knew exactly where he was. For all his interest and community involvement, Robbie's family always came first. He was a quiet dad, not one for lectures or raising his voice. In fact, the kids tell me the only time they can remember him getting genuinely upset was when someone broke the fire screen that he had carefully built and put into place. Fortunately, the kids were quick enough on their feet that he never quite caught them that time. One of Robbie's favourite tricks was calling out one of the kids' names, and when they answered, "Yes, Dad," he'd simply reply, "It's raining." And judging by today's weather, I'd say Robbie's getting the last laugh. Robbie was also a man of routine. Every evening he knew exactly what time it was when he would declare, "It must be news time." And once the news started, that was it. Conversation was over. You weren't allowed to talk through the news. You weren't allowed to call him during the news. Mind you, he also enjoyed a good laugh. He loved the front bar and its sense of humour, which probably suited his own cheeky nature perfectly. The girls even took him to Melbourne to see comedian Kitty Flanagan live. Although Robbie became a little concerned when they started leading him out the back door. I'm not entirely sure what he thought was about to happen, but he should have known that they weren't going to lead him astray. Melinda was also responsible for causing Robbie a fair amount of grief in the vegetable garden when she was small. Robbie loved his fresh peas, but Melinda loved them too. The problem was that Melinda often ate them before Robbie got the chance, and she would forget to hide the evidence. On another occasion, Robbie sent Melinda out to count the chooks. She came back and proudly reported that there was one more than usual. Thinking that the maths didn't quite add up, Robbie went out to investigate. Sure enough, that extra chook turned out to be a tiger cat sitting amongst them. And needless to say, it wasn't there for very long. Robbie took care of it. And then there was that hat. That famous terry toweling hat. The hat became such a part of Robbie that people genuinely struggled to recognise him without it. Melinda tells the story of friends arriving to pick her up one evening, and they spotted a man outside and asked, "Who's the creepy bloke in your yard?" Melinda replied, "That's Dad." But they didn't believe her because he wasn't wearing the hat. And Kelly says she often couldn't find him in a crowd without it either. The hat and Robbie were one and the same. Life changed when Robbie and Diane moved into Smithton in April 2006, following Robbie's retirement. In the years that followed, Diane's multiple sclerosis gradually took its toll, and Robbie found himself taking on the role of her carer. He devoted himself to Diane's care, standing beside her every step of the way until her passing in 2015. He never saw it as a burden. He never complained. He simply did what needed to be done, quietly and without seeking recognition. His children admired him greatly for that. They saw firsthand the love, patience and commitment that he showed their mum, and the way he put her needs ahead of his own. It was a reflection of the man that Robbie was and the love he held for Diane throughout their life together. In his Western Echo story, the final paragraph read, "Sadly, I lost my dear wife Diane to MS in 2015. We will never forget her, and she will live in our hearts forever." Sport was another passion that featured prominently in Robbie's Western Echo story. In his own words, he said, "Sport remained a big part of my life. I played cricket for Britton Swamp. I was an all-rounder. I remember one year the team went on a trip to King Island and most of the boys had too much to drink. We all had a bit of fun, and in my photo I'm wearing my Britton Swamp Cricket Club hat. I am always smiling. I played football for Scotchtown Football Club in the back pocket. Games could get rough at times, especially against Trewater. They'd play in rain, hail, shine, or on cut glass. Diane and the kids were always there cheering me on. Diane also helped behind the scenes, working on the committee, preparing food and running the kiosk. When I stopped playing football, I couldn't walk away from the club. The friendships in the community meant too much to me and my family. I became a life member of both the Scotchtown Football Club and the Circular Head Football Association. I served on the committee and spent many days on the gate, welcoming people as they arrived for the games. Football became a lifelong commitment for Robbie. Whether it was playing, volunteering, serving on committees, working the gate, timekeeping, or helping wherever he was needed, Scotchtown Football Club was a huge part of his life. If a job existed, Robbie probably did it at some point, because Robbie never asked what the club could do for him. He simply asked what he could do for the club. Today, the yellow and black flowers adorning one side of Robbie's casket proudly represent the Scotchtown Football Club colours that he wore and supported for so many years. Robbie also loved his saints. The red, black and white flowers on the other side of his casket not only reflect his lifelong passion for St Kilda, but also the colours of the Smith & Bowles Club, another organisation that became such an important part of his life. Robbie was fortunate enough to be at the 1966 Grand Final when St Kilda won their one and only premiership, and that's a day and a memory that he treasured for the rest of his life. Another memorable trip for Robbie was attending the Commonwealth Games in Brisbane with Kelly, Teresa and Melinda, taking in the swimming, athletics and of course the bowls. Whether it was football, cricket, bowls, horse racing or sport on television, Robbie always enjoyed following the action. In later years, bowls became a huge part of life for Robbie. He was introduced to the game through Ian Morris. The two would spend countless hours chatting across their back fences, probably solving most of the world's problems or probably creating a few more. Robbie didn't just love the game of bowls, but he loved the companionship, he loved the people, he loved the friendships, and he loved the social side that came with it. Melinda and Teresa will certainly miss one of Robbie's most frequently offered pieces of bowling advice. Take your grass. Whether they asked for coaching or not, Robbie provided it with those few words. Those three little words have become part of their bowling lives, and I suspect there'll be plenty of occasions in the future when they find themselves standing on the mat and smiling as they hear Dad's voice reminding them to take your grass. Robbie's quick wit was never far away either, and Terry Auld shared a story from one afternoon after bowls when a group were chatting about teeth of all things. One of the ladies asked Robbie, "Are they your own teeth?" And without missing a beat, Robbie replied, "Of course they are, I paid for them." Terry said that response was typical for Robbie. It was only a few weeks ago that Robbie attended his final bowls dinner, and true to form, he found himself seated at what was affectionately known as the naughty table, exactly where most people expected to find him. He was in good company too, though, alongside his daughter Melinda, Darren and Diane Ferguson, Wayne and Angela Hoosman, Turks and Lyle Elliott. That was the naughty table. Robbie's involvement with the club extended well beyond the green. He was honoured to become patron of the Smith & Bowles Club, a recognition that reflected the respect and affection that people held for him. Not because he sought recognition, but because he earned it through years of friendship, service, and simply being the sort of person that people enjoyed having around. When I asked people how they would describe Robbie, the same words kept appearing: kind, cheeky, a gentleman, never judged anyone, could talk to anyone, gave everyone the time of day, and he had no enemies. Following Robbie's passing, many people shared their memories and tributes online. Mel Anderson wrote, "Robbie always had a smile and rarely a bad word." Rick Skilton reflected, "We will certainly miss him coming to watch our home games and his smile when you caught his eye when our team was in front." And Nathan Polk wrote, "A true gentleman on and off the green and a fantastic lead bowler. I used to love coming up against him in corporate bowls. Always knew I was in for a great match." And Tommy Riley summed it up perfectly with his Facebook comment, "He was a real gentleman." And perhaps the most common description was from son Jason, "He was just a bloody good bloke." As Robbie continued to say in his Western Echo story, "I now live at Emerton Park in Smithton. I still go to the football and cheer my team on. My family come in often and visit with my little dog Millie. She is great company and she's part of the family." And what a last chapter that 14 months was for Robbie. For this time, he made it his home, driving his Gopher everywhere, sometimes places it probably wasn't designed to go. Millie often riding shotgun, making new friends and rekindling old friendships. Now, there may have been one or two Gopher-related mishaps along the way, but as Kelly said when we were putting the service together, let's not dwell on the negatives. Let's remember the positives. And Robbie certainly wasn't going to let a little mishap slow him down. He would join in on the bus trips, play cards. He was a true social butterfly. His door would always be open for anyone who wanted to chat. And his family were a constant presence too. Teresa and Melinda would often receive comments from people about how often they visited their dad, but to them it never felt unusual. It was simply what families do when they love each other. Rarely a day went by without either Teresa or Melinda dropping in for a visit. Kelly and Jason were never far away either, always at the end of the phone and visiting whenever they were home. Robbie would often joke with the staff, "You aren't doing anything again," which was probably a little unfair considering how much they actually had to do. But Robbie could get away with it easily, and he pushed those boundaries right until the end. The family would love to give a special mention to Sue Buckby from Oka Medical. Sue became family to Robbie and the Innes family, and she cared for him with genuine kindness, respect and friendship. We would also like to acknowledge the wonderful staff at Emerton Park. The family know just how much care, compassion and friendship you provided to Robbie throughout his time there, and they will always be grateful for the way you cared for him. Robbie's story is about impact. It's about someone who constantly showed up for his family, for his friends, for his football club, for his bowls club and for his community. And because he showed up for so many people over so many years, today all of you have shown up for him. Robbie is now reunited with Diane and those he loved who have gone before him. Standing here together, surrounded by family and friends, we now come to the committal. This is the moment where we formally and respectfully entrust Robbie's body to its final resting place. It's our last act of care for him and an important part of saying goodbye. Standing here together, we commit Robbie's body to the earth. As the final curtain closes on Robbie's life, it will never close on his memory. We say our final goodbye as we commit the body of our loved one and friend to nature's keeping. Grateful for the life that has been lived and for all that his life has meant to each of us. We now say farewell, and may you rest in peace, Robbie. Tenderly, lovingly and reverently, we commit the spirit and body of Robert Lindsay Innes to a more peaceful place. We give thanks for your life and for your 82 years of love, friendship and memories. And while there will be sadness in the days ahead, I hope there is also comfort. Comfort in knowing that he lived well. Comfort in knowing how much he was loved, and comfort in knowing that the memories he leaves behind are filled with laughter, friendship and stories that will be retold for many years to come. People like Robbie don't disappear from our community. They become part of its story, and Robbie Innes will always be part of the story of Circular Head. A husband, a dad, a mate, a bowler, a football man, a forestry worker, a gentleman, and in the simplest and most accurate words of all, a bloody good bloke. Robbie and Diane are together again, and for their children, that means stepping into a world where they are now the elders, the generation at the front. It's a strange and sometimes confronting realisation when both parents are gone. The people you have always looked to for guidance, reassurance and wisdom are no longer just a phone call away. But the values that they taught you, the memories they created and the love that they shared remain. In the time ahead, there will undoubtedly be difficult days, and that is when the support of family, friends and community matters the most. Robbie spent a lifetime looking after people, and now it's our turn to look after those that he loved the most. In a moment, I'll invite the family and friends to come forward and place a flower on Robbie's casket as a final personal farewell. As you do so, take a moment to reflect on your own memories of Robbie, the conversations, the laughs, the stories and the friendships that he shared with so many. There is no rush, take all the time you need. And on behalf of Jason, Kelly, Teresa, Melinda and their families, thank you all for being here today and for the love and support that you have shown Robbie and his family throughout his life, and particularly over the past few weeks. You are warmly invited to join the family at the Recreation Centre for refreshments and the sharing of memories. And I have no doubt Robbie's stories will continue to be told there this afternoon and for many years to come. Rest in peace, Robbie.
May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your track. And until we meet again, may God hold you safely in the palm of his hands. May the hills come down to greet you. May the rocks give shelter in the storm. May the dust be soft beneath your feet, and the dark give rest before the dawn. And until we meet again, may God hold you safely in the palm of his hands. In the palm of his hands, in the palm of his hands, in the palm of his hands. safely in the palm of his hand. May your life have many memories. May your death be sweet and full of peace. May your hope last an eternity, and your joy carry on and never cease. And until we meet again, may God hold you safe in the palm of his hand. And until we meet again, may God hold you safely in the palm of his hand. Let's sing it. In the palm of his hand. In the palm of his hand. In the palm of his hand. Safely in the palm of his hand. 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 Safely in the palm of his hand.
Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, how I want to be with some killer. When the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, how I want to be with some killer. When the saints go marching in. On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring at the window at the darkness. The boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces, knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away, knowing what to keep. Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser. And the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, he turned back toward the window, crushed out a cigarette, faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness,
The gambler, he broke even. And in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. But you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough to count. When the dealing's done, you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting. When the dealing's done, you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough to count. When the deal is done. I'm here at the horizon, between the future and the past.
You get it first.
I'm looking through the things I